Welcome to VBar 101. I'm Fredrik Mellin, aka Mr. Mel. Today I'm gonna go over the complete setup of the governor on electrics again. Actually, it's a remake of the remake. Well, since 5.2 came out, I haven't done a complete setup. So people looking at the videos and then they're missing the little details from 5.2. So I figured I'd do a new complete video for setting up it from scratch on my Logo 600 here, where we're gonna use my VBar radio, and we are going to set it up so I have auto rotation bailout, I have different head speeds and everything like a complete governor. So for wiring, how you do it, where you connect everything, that is a different video. You find it on my site where you find this video, but it's an earlier version where you find all the wiring. Also, if you have a mini VBar, the wiring for the phase sensor is a little bit different, and that's a separate video as well. With electrics, we only use one channel for controlling the governor, but we don't use that stick to spool up. We only have motor off, governor off, without that stick control. So when we drag the slider or the throttle channel in the case, everything below 0 or first half is motor off and the governor is off. It's when we go over this center, then it translates to a head speed, and the maximum head speed setting in the VBar is what you get at 100%, so in my case here 1910, and everything below this is a head speed. That's why in idle up 1 and 2 you should use a flat curve. However, if we enable the auto rotation bailout mode and go down, that will mean motor is now off, bailout is arm. If I flip out of that hole, it will faster spool up to the head speed again. But if I go down to the far end, to the bottom, then motor is off, governor is off, bailout is not active, meaning we get a slow start. So this is the concept of how one channel can control everything, and this will help. If you understand this, that will help you in a great way when setting up the governor. One thing that throws people a little bit off base is the definition in VBar of a signal and its level. Because in the VBar it says from -100, then center is 0, then you have +100. It might be that it translates in your radio to 0, 50 and 100. It's the same thing, it's just different definitions of the signal. Some radios actually have from -100 to +100, but when you activate a certain function it might be 0, 50, 100. So you need to keep track of this, and if I'm at 0 and saying you need to go lower, that number might be -100. If I say -50 and you need to raise that number, I probably should say go closer to -100 or to make it easier. But keep in mind that this type of definition and this type of conversion that actually happens, so you know where you're at. So in your 0 to 50 curve might be in the program same as -100 to 0. So if we start with the program, we have it here, we have no governor enabled. This is how it looks like for you. The first thing we're gonna do is go into setup and transmitter. Now, compared to before, I now need the throttle to be calibrated. In the old way it was only, we perhaps didn't use the throttle in the way, but for now I need to check that I have, well, here is -101, but I need the full range going from -100 to +100. So please check that in the transmitter page first. Then we go to the Governor 1 page, and now it's actually important that you unplug the motor. If something goes wrong, in this case I actually have removed the blades, both tail blades and main blades, so it doesn't matter for me. That's another option to do it, but please don't take for granted that it doesn't start, or someone reversing just 2 cables and then you think, okay, it's one way gonna spin. Well, if the one way locks up, or you switch this 2 times and make something wrong, it's gonna be ugly. So what I do is I actually go in, select electric, and then press reset. That resets everything. Now I need to define some channels. The first one is my preset channel. This is the control channel of the Governor. As you have seen, if you have watched in earlier in this video where I cut in some parts from the old video, you see how one channel can control everything. And this we have to select which channel that should be. And the simplest version is to use the throttle channel on the radio, because then we can program the throttle curves to match, well, to just output single type of data. A flat line here and flat line there. I'm gonna show you exactly how that's programmed, but easiest to use the throttle channel. Is all, you have all the functionality in the radio. Even if you have the simplest of the simplest radio, you have that functionality. Then we need to say where is our output. In this case I have put the speed controller throttle cable into the collective ESC, so I'm gonna choose that one. And then we're done for that page. Then we go to page number 2. Now I need to set my endpoints. So for the low endpoints, has changed in 5.2, and that's why I'm making this new video. We're gonna calibrate it like this. If you watch the helicopter now, I'm gonna pull this down quite low. We're gonna go -118 here. And as I'm flipping out of throttle hold, you can see the bar to the right saying status going to jump up, but the motor won't start. Let's see here. There you go. It takes a little delay before it starts. So if we go back and try it again, dum, 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 it's a little delay, and that's where I don't want to be. I want to be where there is no delay, but as small or low number as possible without the delay. So I'm gonna move that upwards. Let's see here, 110. There is still a delay. 106. No delay. I'm gonna try 108 just to see, and we get the delay again. So 106 is my number that I want for the low end side. So no delay, and it starts right away. So that is how I set my low side. That's the best you can do. And then I want to set my high side, and by doing that I turn on the stick control mode, and that meaning I'm transferring control to my collective stick, my pitch curve. My pitch channel is going to take over the throttle for just for a moment. So we disable the Governor. Let's do that. And then I can actually control my, this is very dangerous if you have the blades, but I can control the motor directly with my pitch. And there is no soft start. Now you don't have to run full number of cells. I'm only running a 5S pack here, so I don't get the full speed. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to run full throttle, and then I drag the slider, and then there I find the point where I go to 100% throttle, then I can stop the motor. So again, it's not important that you have full number of cells, because we only need to find that where the high is on this controller. So my high is 98 and my low should be 106. Now this is calibrated, meaning I have the full range of my throttle calibrated to this speed controller. I'm saying this speed controller because if you have a speed controller with programmable endpoints, it might be that you have reprogrammed it already previous or by mistake or anything. If you find yourself with two low numbers here, where you have, instead of minus 106, you have minus 70, and on the plus side you may have plus 60. If you have those small numbers, well, reprogram the speed controller, because you lose resolution. One little single step becomes so much, so it will cause wagging and stuff like that later. So somewhere around 100 is the best. If you have one of the new HeliJives version 11, you do not need to change the endpoints. They are going to be fixed at 100, 100. So do not change this. Do not do this at all. You simply put it 100, 100 and you're done. Then I want to do my settings here, and my max head speed is where, if I put in 100% in the radio, what head speed should that be? Okay, I want 2150, and that's exactly what it is here. Then I need to put in my gear ratio. It's main gear tooth count divided by pinion. In this case it's 8.83. And then I need to put in my magnet pole pair count. In this case this is a 10 pole motor, so I'm gonna put in 5 and press enter. Remember to press enter after you enter any manual data. Now there is two auto-rotation bailout. What is auto-rotation bailout? Well, it's aborting an auto-rotation, getting a faster spool up when you do abort. There is two modes. One is the auto-rotation bailout on-off, which is of course the on-off switch. But then we have idle during bailout. What is that? That is, it doesn't completely stop the motor. You cannot do full blade stop. It's impossible with the idle on, but you don't have any problem recovering. You can try those blade stops, that almost stops the blade, and it will not fold the blades. It will always recover nicely. Less stress on the drivetrain, less risk of blowing the speed controller because the motor won't start correctly. There is simply less risk. So if you're not into getting that last exact blade stop, then you're far better off running that idle mode. And I'm gonna show you how fast it spins with the full 10S packs here later. So now we come to the radio programming. I'm gonna pause this. So now I'm gonna show you a couple of curves I have set up here, so we go just through it. I'm gonna disable my helicopter in the background here because I don't need it right now. Let's see here. And I go into throttle curve, and now we have some interesting here. Let's go through the different curves I have. I have a normal curve that looks like this. So at the bottom of the stick is off. Then I go up to 93%, and everything up here is 93%. And if you look at my idle 1 curve, it's a flat curve with 97.5 all the way. And my idle 2 curve is a flat with 100%. Then I have something here called idle 3, and it's a flat curve 40%. So that's the three different things I have. If we now start the program and look what happened in the program when I'm flipping between all these modes, I'm going to show you that one. So here we have the radio now, and we see the program. I'm in normal mode with a stick down, so no throttle in my case because I have this 0 and then 19.3 curve. So if I go up on the stick, the motor would start, and you see the requested RPM going upwards, so it's trying to spool up here, and the requested RPM is 1859. That's my 93% in the radio translated to my 93%. So then I flip to idle up 1, which was 97.5 in my radio. That just translates to a head speed, a requested head speed of 2057 in the program. So now I try to reach 2057. And then if I flip to my idle 2, which was 100% in the radio, well, it's going to be close to that of what I entered in Governor 2 page, and in this case it's saying 2166, I entered 2150, so it's close enough. That's the resolution. Now you saw my curve, I had an idle up 3. What is that? Well, it's my auto rotation bailout switch. So I have a special hole here for my auto rotation bailout. So when I flip this switch, I'm going into idle 3, and then we see bailout is armed and the head speed is 0. And then when I flip out of that one, it's going to recover fast to my previous mode. So you see the bar going up fast. So this is how it works when you run the helicopter. We're going to go over the settings here with gain and the expert settings. Then I'm going to come back and show you when I run this helicopter at on the bench here with no blades on, of course. And so we can see every mode and also test the auto rotation bailout. If we look at the main screen, we have the main gain. This is something you set how fast the governor will react. For a type of controller, hobby wing type, I know my maximum is about 36. It has some built-in expo into the throttle response, so it's very fast. I cannot go much higher. Where you hear it the first time is basically when you're doing a punch out or unloading the helicopter. It will oscillate very fast on the head speed. It's not a wow 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 type of oscillation. It's more sounds like a rattle type of speed on it. But if you, let's say, have a HeliJive version 11, you will start about 25. It's even a bit faster on the response. But one have to remember the VBar works on 7 or 14 millisecond intervals. It can see things very fast. It can update the speed controller very fast. Then it takes another 170 or 200 milliseconds for the head speed to change because of the momentum. The helicopter itself, everything is slower on the helicopter than the system itself. So we need to be fast, but not too fast, because then we overshoot and it gets into that feed forward loop. So gain as high as possible without getting oscillation. You can also watch the tail, because it will start to sound bad if you stab the tail or stab the collective. That's when you see the difference. Then under expert we have collective add, which is when you move the stick from center 0 pitch to maximum, it adds collective. It pre-compensates the collective, so it will counteract that torque change that will be. And for most helicopters, my pitch range, I'm using about 40 in my setup. For you, it's impossible to say. It depends how much pitch, what head speed, what motor, what batteries, etc, etc. So you have to try it at least. Cyclic add is the same thing, where it adds when you do cyclic moves. The stock 15 is good enough for me. It depends on how fast your helicopter rolls and how good the batteries and everything. The collective dynamic is a bit different. Same thing, when I move the stick fast, it does a little of the throttle, just to counteract the first torque change. That I usually leave that at 0 or stock, which is 15. On the HeliJive you should leave that at 0 and only adjust the collective add, because the system is so fast reacting. So these are the expert parameters. One important thing when you do bench testing, which I'm gonna show you in a second, is these two numbers. The requested is what the system wants to be at, and the current is what it reads from the phase sensor. So if you get a requested head speed and 0 in the current head speed, then your phase sensor is not connected, or you have forgotten the ground cable that might be needed for your type of speed controller. So there is always these two numbers, and make sure you get a reading from the current. And when I do testing now, you will see this bar which represents the throttle, and you will see some lights here going on and off depending on where I am in the testing cycle. So I'm gonna go through normal mode, idle 1, idle 2, auto rotation, bailout, and then the normal throttle hold, so we can see how that looks like in real life with full 10S packs. So I'm gonna run up, spool up this helicopter, gonna sound a little much, but I'm gonna go through all the different steps. So my normal mode with the stick down, I had a 0 93 curve, so 0, nothing happens. Go just up a little bit and it starts. And you can see here around 1860. Idle 1. 2050, 2150, and my bailout. I'm doing my bailout now, and now you can see this idle mode. The head won't stop completely, going slowly, but when I do flip out of it, the recovery is very nice. Fast but nice. And if I do a full throttle hold and go out, it's a slow start, so I have to go up to idle, then go back to bailout for the bailout arm. If I go down bailout now, flip out of hold, go out of bailout, it's still a smooth, slow spool up because I haven't been in idle mode.